documents before they could be filed in court. Well, the deputy warden looks down at it, sees it's what's called a 1984 or civil rights complaint against his prison. And so he threw Ruiz into the hole, and he tore that complaint up to shreds. Ruiz found another way to get his complaint filed, and it became really an epic case in Texas. It was called Ruiz versus Estelle. Estelle was the director of the...
This call is from the State Correctional Institution at Green and is subject to monitoring and recording.
Estelle was the director of the Texas DOC, or Department of Corrections. And that case ended up costing Texas billions of dollars because the whole system was... if you remember the movie Brubaker, it was kind of like that. They had building tenders, they called them, and these guys, they actually were guards and everything but name. They were armed, they administered discipline, they handled commissary, they handled mail. They essentially ran the jail on behalf of guards. And they terrorized people, and they brutalized people, and they intimidated people, and they beat people. And one judge in Texas looked at that and said, whoa, this is, unconscionable.
Mumia, I want to move quickly because I know we only have a few minutes before the phone is hung up. And I wanted to ask you about looking at the outside world through the bars of death row in this new presidency, the presidency of Barack Obama. Do you hold out any hope for President Obama in the world today and also in your own case?
I have held out hope for the people because I believe in the people, because the people make change. If the people don't organize and protest, then no change will happen. It doesn't matter who is sitting in what office or in what judgeship or whatever. And that's just a fact. That's just the truth. Several weeks ago, a reporter in The New Yorker wrote an article, and I found it quite remarkable. I'm not a subscriber, but someone sent me a Xerox of that article. And it dealt with control units and all across the United States. And it illustrated quite convincingly to me how people are tortured all across the United States in almost every state of the Union every day. People are driven crazy. People are subjected to all kinds of vile and violent and vicious treatment, and they're driven out of their minds by solitary confinement. Well, we can all celebrate the impending closing of Guantanamo, but there are Guantanamos in almost every state of the Union and have been for, I think, several decades now. I think that's the next phase. If people want to understand how to change this draconian system that we have in this country, that can be done. But people need to be aware of it, and people need to struggle for it, and they need to fight for it. Without struggle, there is no progress. Frederick Douglass was right.
Mumia, there's a piece that came out in the San Francisco Chronicle on April 12th. They write, Abu-Jamal has never explicitly stated he did not shoot Faulkner. He did not testify at his own trial before his conviction. He served as his own lawyer with professional backup counsel, yet failed to produce his brother as a witness. Guilty, it says. Your response?
Well, half true, not true, and other not true. I did not testify because I was representing myself, but I only represented myself for several days. There was an article contemporaneous to the time that explained that I did quite a good job. I was denied the right to represent myself by a judge's order and a prosecutor's suggestion. One reporter said, it looks to me, this isn't my supporter, he was a reporter, it looks to me that Jamal's doing a pretty good job. I mean, that's a fact, you see. Even though, again, I am supposed to have a constitutional right to represent myself, that didn't happen in that courtroom because Judge Sable didn't want it to happen. That's just one right of a trial. I wanted all of my rights, and I got none of them. I didn't get a right to a fair judge. I didn't get a right to a fair jury. I didn't make that happen. I selected 2 jurors, and when I finished that, I was told that I couldn't do that anymore. My backup lawyer, who said he did not want to represent me.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Mumia, will you be able to call us back?
I can't because the computer will turn off in, I think, 60 seconds, and that's the only call I have for 24 hours.
Your last 45 seconds, then.
Well, I thank you for this opportunity. I thank you for the call. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and you look great on C-SPAN Saturday.
Well, Mumia, thank you for talking to us.
30 seconds remaining.
How do you write these books? How do you write? You are so prolific in jail.
Well, I'm a nerd, my wife tells me, so I read a lot, and I try to make extensive notes. And I use those notes for articles and, of course, for, these books. But I write because I love to read, and I read because that's a way of escaping this madness.
Your final message to people all over the world who are listening and watching right now. The call has been cut off from death row in Pennsylvania. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for joining us. And that was the end of our conversation. We had it Monday morning just after 9 o'clock from the offices of Prison Radio. We're joined now by Noelle Hanrahan. She's the director of Prison Radio. She's been recording and distributing Mumia Abu-Jamal's commentaries for years now. Welcome to Democracy Now! The significance of being able to get Mumia Abu-Jamal's voice out. How hard is it, Noelle?
It's extremely difficult, and it's critical to hear from prisoners and prisoners' voices because it's an unseen and unheard of, really important part of our culture and our democracy. We don't have a democracy if we can't examine all parts of it.
And does Mumia Abu-Jamal face sanctions for having this conversation?
Absolutely. Any inmate in a maximum security prison who dares to become part of the public debate and dialogue could suffer sanctions.
And yet he doesn't. He does speak out on the telephone.
Mumia reaches out to us, and it's our obligation to really make sure that it happens. So he does weekly commentaries from his cell in death row, regardless of the potential penalties. He's a journalist.
I want to thank John Hamilton and also Jennifer Beach and Nolan Edmonston. On our TV broadcast and on our website at democracynow.org, we're showing many photographs of Mumia Abu-Jamal, but actually it's not easy to get photos of him.
No, they've banned all photos of Mumia since 1996.
And what happened then?
We went in with a camera, and we went in as a journalist, and I recorded Mumia Abu-Jamal, and when that material came out and it was broadcast on Democracy Now!, they eliminated all access to inmates in Pennsylvania, to journalists with a pen and paper, much less a camera.
Why?
Because they don't want this information out, because they're trying to silence prisoners, because they're trying to lock them away, hide them away, and keep them out of the public debate. It's our job as journalists to go there and get that information.
Finally, Noelle, if you can summarize where his case stands. For example, why was I talking to him on death row?
Mumia Abu-Jamal's life hangs in the balance because the DA is trying to reimpose death. So pending the outcome of the DA's appeal before the U.S. Supreme Court, he's held on death row, pending that appeal and pending a new trial on life or death, a sentencing phase trial.
I want to thank you very much, Noelle Hanrahan. Your website for people to hear Mumia Abu-Jamal and other prisoners.
www.prisonradio.org.
Noelle Hanrahan is the director of Prison Radio here in San Francisco. And that does it for today's program. You can help us grow our audience by going to our website at democracynow.org and posting stories to your favorite social networking sites like Facebook, Dig, Slashdot. You can also follow Democracy Now! On Twitter. To get our latest updates, go to our website to start following our Twitter feed. We're going to 70 cities around this country. Find out the latest. Push these stories out to your friends, to family. This is the way we get information out about Democracy Now! Democracy Now! Is produced by Mike Berkshire, Caduce, Aaron Mate, Angelique Kama, Nicole Salazar, Steve Martinez, Honey Massoud. Special thanks to Dennis Moynihan, Elizabeth Press, Robbie Karen, Peter Cruz, Miguel Noguera, Mike DeFilippo, and all the staff at Democracy Now! Today, I'll be in Palo Alto at 7:30, First Presbyterian Church. Friday noon, we're in Sacramento with Benefit for Access Sacramento, Public Access TV, then in Grass Valley at 6 p.m. at Grass Valley Veterans Hall. On Saturday, we'll be in New Mexico, and Sunday as well. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for joining us.